Hi everyone. In this video, we are going to go over the 4 conjugations in Latin and how we know which verb belongs to which conjugation. So in Latin, every verb, except for a few rare exceptions, can be put into one of 4 conjugations. We can label these the first, second, third, and fourth conjugations, or the A conjugation, the long E conjugation, the short E conjugation, and the I conjugation. You'll see what I mean in a second. Let's start by looking at the infinitive form of some verbs. The infinitive form of verbs all end in re in Latin. So for example, amare, monere, reggere, and audire. So these are all the infinitive. We can translate them in Latin with the word to. So to love, to warn, to rule, and to hear. And you'll notice that each of them ends in re. So the infinitive in Latin ends in re. But the important part is the vowel in front of the re that comes before the re. If you'll notice in amare, we have an a. And with monere, we have a long e. This means an e with that line over it. That tells us that it is a long e. With reggere, we have a short e. So there is no line over it. And with audire, we have an I. Okay, so this is very important because these vowels tell us which conjugation these verbs belong to. Amare, which has an A, belongs to the first conjugation or the A conjugation. Monere, which has a long E, belongs to the second conjugation or the long E conjugation. Reggere, which has a short E, belongs to the third conjugation or the short E conjugation. And audire, which has an I, belongs to the fourth conjugation or the I conjugation. And the reason this is important to know which conjugation the verb belongs to is because of the endings. So the endings and the way we form different forms of the verbs will be different depending on which conjugation the word is in. Okay, let's look at a couple more examples. So another example of a first conjugation verb could be amulo. Okay, let's look at a few more examples. So another example of a first conjugation verb would be the word dare. So again, we can see that there is an A in front of the RE, or we can also say that the infinitive ends in ARE. A second conjugation verb would be habere. Oops, sorry, I forgot to write it with the macron, the long E. Habere. We have a long E before the RE. An example of a third conjugation verb would be dicere. This means to speak. So dare means to give. Habere means to have. Dicere means to speak. Again, we have a short E in front of the RE. And another example of a fourth conjugation verb would be scire. So we have an I before the RE. And scire means to know. Okay, now when you look up a Latin verb, either in a dictionary or online, you will usually see it listed with 4 forms. We call these the 4 principal parts. And the infinitive form is going to be the second form. So for example, if you looked up amo, you would probably see it like this. Amo, amare, amavi, amatus. So we've got the four forms of the verb, and the second form listed here is that is that infinitive form, amare. So what each of these forms is for would be another video, but the important thing to know now is that if you're trying to determine which conjugation the verb belongs to, you want to look at that second principal part, the infinitive. You can tell it because it ends in RE. And then look at the verb in front of the RE, and that tells you now when you look these verbs up in a dictionary or online, they will usually be listed with four forms. These are called the four principal parts. So for example, when you look amo up or amare up, it will usually look like amo, amare, amavi, amatus. These are its four principal parts. Now, the infinitive, the form that we've been talking about, is going to be the second principal part. So you'll see it right here. It is the second one listed. And what each of these principal parts is used for would be another video. But the important thing to know is that you want to find that second principal part, the infinitive, and that will tell you which conjugation the verb belongs to. Okay, let's try a couple quiz questions. So I'm going to give you a Latin verb in the infinitive form, and I want you to tell me which conjugation it belongs to. How about the word ducere? What conjugation does ducere belong to? Good. Hopefully you said the third conjugation, because there is a short E before the RE. How about ambulare? Okay, that one is a first conjugation verb because of the A. How about videre? Good, that is a second conjugation because of the long E. And finally, how about venire? Good, that one is fourth conjugation because of the I in front of the RE.